Let's start off with this case of Mr. Abrego Garcia. You heard my conversation with Senator Van Hollen. The Justice Department called the deportation of Mr. Abrego Garcia a, quote, administrative error. The Supreme Court has ordered the government to facilitate Mr. Abrego Garcia's return. Should Mr. Abrego Garcia be returned to the United States, Senator?
Well, Chris is my friend, and I respect him, and he's certainly entitled to his opinion, but in my judgment, he is utterly and gloriously wrong. I mean, most of this gauzy rhetoric is just rage bait. Unless you're next level obtuse, you know that Mr. Garcia is never coming back to the United States, ever. And that's not because of President Trump. That's because of Mr. President Bukele. He said up front in the Oval Office that he was not going to return Mr. Garcia. No federal judge, even Jay Wilkinson, has authority over a sovereign country. Besides that, it should not go unnoticed that Mr. Bukele is much closer to President Xi in China than he is to President Trump. Xi is spending billions of dollars to build infrastructure in El Salvador, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've discussed this case. The final point I would make, whether you agree with it or not, is Bukele hates MS-13, and Mr. Garcia allegedly is a member of MS-13. The other point I would make is that Chris says Mr. Garcia has had no due process. He's been in front of 17 judges, some of them twice, probably $5 million worth of legal fees, and he hadn't had to pay a dime. Final point I'd make, look, this was a screw-up, in my opinion. The administration won't admit it, but this was a screw-up. Mr. Garcia was not supposed to be sent to El Salvador. He was sent to El Salvador. The Democrats say, look, you know, we told you Trump is a threat to democracy. This is going to happen every other Thursday afternoon. I don't see any pattern here. I mean, you know, someday pigs may fly, but I doubt it.
Senator, this is notable because you are saying, in your words, this is a screw-up. I mean, are you concerned that more mistakes could happen?
Well, sure. None of us want mistakes. Mistakes bad. Doing it right, good.
Yeah.
But it was a screw up, and I understand why the administration is bowed up and said we won't admit it's a mistake, because if they do, they'll have their throats torn out. But it was a screw up. I don't see any pattern here. I've been listening to my Democratic friends say for, I don't know, since God was a child, that Trump is a threat to democracy. I don't see any pattern here. I see a screw up.
When life gives you chaos, do you know what you do? You just make a Lego set out of it. True story. I found myself at Legoland and waiting for the family. It just made me realise that this Easter, the masterpiece, the Trump administration, should actually be an Easter 2025 edition. Kind of the only Lego set where the pieces don't fit the instructions and everything's written in crayon, and as opposed to boxes on fire. First up, we have the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm sorry, it's a bit windy here. Led by none other than Elon Musk, because he streamlined the government. Remember, he fired, was it 77,000 federal workers? Still not sure. It's like Marie Kondo visited the White House and decided that, is that a plane? Don't fall from the sky! That's not funny. That none of the employees sparked joy. Next, let's talk about the Liberation Day tariffs. You remember President Trump declared April the 2nd as Liberation Day and imposed a 10% tariffs on all imports. Well, it started at 10%. Who knows where it's going to end up by the end of Easter? And nothing says liberation like making everything more expensive. It's like throwing a party and charging your guests at the door. Okay? And by the way, who can forget the hands-off protests? Well, most of cable news in America, they ignored the story. Millions of Americans actually took to the streets, demanded the administration keep their hands off of Social Security, Medicaid, and, well, everything else. You know, it's the first time in history I can think that people have protested to keep things exactly the same. Still not sure why that story wasn't covered by mainstream media. Well, legacy media is the correct 2025 term. Anyway, in a bold move, the administration decided to eliminate Head Start and make sweeping health cuts. Not sure about that one, because who needs early childhood education and healthcare when you can have, well, I'm not sure what you really get with the cuts. I have absolutely no idea what you get in return. Sorry about that. I'm just an outsider looking in. Anyway, let's not forget, since we're talking about cuts, the environmental policies. Is there anything environmentally actually existing which this administration is going to do? They propose changes to the Endangered Species Act, putting panthers, owls and turtles at risk. Because, sorry about the cliche, nothing says progress like endangering endangered species. There's a seagull, literally. A seagull flying around there. You see it? Anyway. In a twist no one saw coming, the administration sought corporate sponsors for the White House Easter event. That was hardly a surprise, because if you think of the resurrection of Jesus, you naturally think of product placement. What Trump does. You're just hoping, when's his family coming so he can stop wittering on while he's in the car? I'm waiting, I promise you. I'm literally outside Lego now, waiting for them to turn up. Anyway, there you have it, folks. The Trump administration Easter 2025 Lego set. It's chaotic, it's confusing, and guess what? It's missing half the pieces. And it hurts if you step on a piece not wearing anything on your feet. But hey, at least it's not... Well, I was going to say boring, but you know, you'd rather it be boring. This Lego set is literally collapsing on itself. Remember, when life gives you chaos, wow, make a Lego set out of it.
We're in a crisis across the board, right? I mean, that is obvious for everyone to see. This is not normal. The president is assaulting the economy, assaulting Social Security, assaulting healthcare, assaulting the American way of life, and assaulting our democracy. None of this is normal. It is all a crisis.
That was House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who joins me now. Leader Jeffries, thank you for being here. Let me get right at what you were saying, because I also heard you say that Republicans are breaking the economy and will own all of the damage that is being done to the American people. So what are Democrats going to do about it?
Well, we're going to continue to make clear that the cost of living in the United States of America is too high. Donald Trump and Republicans promised to lower the cost of living. In fact, on day one, costs aren't going down, they are going up. And they are crashing the economy in real time and, in fact, driving us toward a recession. Democrats have a different vision. We want to build an affordable economy for hardworking American taxpayers, and we're ready to work with anyone in good faith to get that done. But that's not occurring in the Congress right now, which is why things are heading in a bad direction.
But let me ask you about a Gallup poll that came out recently, asking people how much confidence they have in various people to deal with the economy. And Donald Trump, only 44% have a great deal or fair amount of confidence. But that was GOP leaders were next, the Fed chairman, the Speaker of the House. And when you get down to the bottom, Democratic leaders, Chuck Schumer, down at the bottom, you at only 30%. So what do Democrats have to do to convince the American people that they have a better plan on the economy than the Republicans?
Well, this week, we'll be having a cost of living week of action, and we have to continue to talk to the American people about our plans. We recognize that housing costs are too high, grocery costs are too high, utility costs are too high, child care costs are too high, insurance costs are too high. America is too expensive. Now, Donald Trump is the president, and in terms of his approval as it relates to the economy, it was his biggest strength on January 20th. Now it's his greatest weakness. There are a variety of different polls that are out there, including most recently a Morning Consult poll that showed that congressional Democrats were actually trusted more than congressional Republicans on the economy for the first time in 4 years. We're going to continue to press our case on the economy, continue to press our case on protecting and strengthening Social Security, which is what we are committed to do. Republicans are trying to detonate Social Security as we know it, and certainly we're going to protect the health care of the American people.
You've seen those huge crowds that Bernie Sanders and AOC have gotten at their Fighting Oligarchy tour. Is that where the energy of the Democratic Party is right now? Is it with the progressive left? Is that the direction the party's going to turn?
I think the energy of the Democratic Party right now is across the board, and everyone has made that observation that this is not a right-left moment. It's a moment of right versus wrong, and we've got to be able to stand up to this assault that is underway, led by Donald Trump and his compliant Republicans in the House and in the Senate, an assault on the economy, on Social Security, on Medicaid, an assault on the democratic way of life as we know it.
I saw Senator Sanders said in an interview this week that he was skeptical of Kamala Harris, and he mentioned Joe Biden as well, and having a future in the National Democratic Party. He said, quote, "I think the future of the Democratic Party is not going to rest with the kind of leadership that we've had." Is he right? Do you think Democrats are looking for new leaders?
I think what we've got in front of us in terms of politically is that we have to win the races that are up next. That's a governor's race in New Jersey and a governor's race in Virginia. Those two in November are going to be critically important. And we certainly have to win back control of the House of Representatives next year. Now, we're pushing back in the Congress, we're pushing back in the courts, and we're pushing back in the communities, including wherever there are special elections on the campaign trail. And in fact, Democrats are winning special elections month after month after month, including most recently a decisive one in Wisconsin earlier this month for the state Supreme Court.
David Hogg, who I know you know, a vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, he's going to be joining us on the roundtable, and he is pursuing this effort to unseat some Democrats in safe seats through primary challenges. He's talked about a culture of seniority politics that is not working for the party. He said, quote, "We need a better Democratic Party and need to get rid of the Democrats in safe seats who do not understand what is at stake now, who are asleep at the wheel, not meeting the moment, and are a liability now into the future of our party." What's your response to this idea of targeting some of your Democratic incumbents?
Well, I look forward to standing behind every single Democratic incumbent, from the most progressive to the most centrist and all points in between. They're working hard in their communities, rising to the occasion. This past week, we had, of course, a Medicaid Matters Day of Action, a Safe Social Security Day of Action, and we have to continue to do all of the things. Rallies, town hall meetings in Democratic districts, town hall meetings in Republican districts, days of action, telephone town hall meetings, site visits, press conferences. We are in a more is more environment, and more is going to continue to be required of all of us. Now, the House is the institution that is known to be, was built to be the closest to the American people. That's why we have elections every 2 years. Primaries are a fact of life. But here's the thing. I'm going to really focus on trying to defeat Republican incumbents so we can take back control of the House of Representatives and begin the process of ending this national nightmare that's being visited upon us by far-right extremism.